Alright, we're all back and charged up here. Uploaded the part 2 to our stock removal build. And let me just turn this light off, it's a little annoying. Part 2 to our stock removal build rather. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start part 3. So, and this should finish it out. We're going to get some preliminary hand sanding done to help set everything, and then that'll go straight into our annealing, normalizing, and quench. So these are the knives. Still trying to upload the unedited video. It's like 114 minutes long, and the reason I was going to do that was mainly just to show people that don't do this just how much time goes into it. But if we can't get it up and running, just know that like I cut out a few things in the video today that really didn't make much sense, but I mean that video for part 2 was giving me like 23 minutes long, and that's with the sped up time. So I mean you're looking at like that's like 3 hours of work this morning, and you know we're just to the first hand sanding. So to give you guys an idea of what goes on, the hand sanding is one of the things I love doing. All aspects of bladesmithing and knife making, of blacksmithing, it doesn't matter what it is. But if I was gonna have a stage or process that I don't really enjoy that much, it would most definitely be the hand sanding. And I don't do a lot of hand sanding, especially on my forged blades, because I like to leave the forged look, all the pits and everything in there. But with these right here, we're going to show the full process of what it takes to get a blade to where you want it. And there's still going to be some marks in this one, in these stock removals, that I'm not going to take out, just for the fact that I like them there. But we're going to show you some hand sanding and just what it takes to do what we do. So enjoy. So we have one side, the preliminary sanding done. Now, if you remember, this is what it looked like before we did our sanding. Now I'm gonna have to go back and re-stamp, but that's not a big deal. But that's what it looked like pre-sanding, and here's what it looks like now. What this does, for me at least, it helps me set when I'm grinding or doing stock removals, or even doing a forged to shape. This helps me really fine-tune my edge geometry. I can get in there and I can just sand this down layer by layer, really nice and controlled. Allows me to, if I did have any plunge lines, and we'll do some tutorials on plunge lines and stuff like that, freehanding plunge lines here at a later date. But even with plunge lines, doing the hand sanding allows me to really fine tune, and hand filing, which we won't do for these knives, but we will do possibly at a later date with hand filing, and that would be done prior to actually hitting the grinder. But since we're not doing that, we're just doing some hand sanding to help set our edge geometry. And what this allows you to do this allows you to get a really smooth finish on it pre-quench. So when it comes out of the quench, there's actually less that you have to do with it, and it doesn't. The quench won't set any big scratches because you've already taken them out. So this allows you to get it all done in a relatively timely manner. But like I said, I'm gonna have to go back and re-stamp and everything, but that's not a big deal. I can do that pretty quick. But we're gonna get onto the other side and then get onto the other knife. So there's that first side right there. So we have this ground, pretty good. Edge geometry is coming in. Need to, well, need to do some more on this, on the first side we did, kind of matched up, but it's pretty good. We can hit that up. We got more hand filing to do. Hand filing, you have, at least how I do it, 3 to 4 times sometimes, depending on what I'm doing. These will probably get at least 2 times. So, but this one is pretty good. I'm not looking for high reflective shiny. It's just, you know, what happens. I'm not a big fan of super shiny blades. More power to those that do make them, but I'm not one that makes super shiny blades. I'm more in tune with the business edge doing its job, and the easiest way to do that is to make sure that it is as smooth as possible. Plus it helps you get your razor edge on it, and it continues up the blade. So this has about a 1/16 of an inch of a face on it right now. We're going to take that down. Now I like putting an edge on my knives, but not a sharp edge. I put an edge to where you can feel that it's not a flat spot, but it's more attuned to like almost a little bit more of an edge than a butter knife. So I like to do it that way. And the last thing I'll do is when I'm making a knife, is I'll put a razor edge on it to where you can shave with it whenever you want to. So, but this is the potato that we forged the billet or the bar for, and then cut it out. It has. I'm gonna leave this mar in here. I think it looks pretty cool. Same thing with this little one right here. I'm gonna leave it in there in the blade, because I mean it is, you know what it is. It's a forge. Now this one has it all in there, but that's just parts of straightening and flattening the lawnmower blade. You're gonna get, I can take all that out, and we probably will, just for the fact that it really wasn't forged. This one, technically you could say you forged the steel for it, because you took it from a round bar to a flat bar. So you could technically say this is forged, but I don't do that. So more power to you if you do, but I don't do that. Okay, now this is 79. We're gonna go and do the sanding for 78, and on to the next. second, just clean up all my dust here. I save all my filings. I mixed up a batch of borax, flux, and filings for forge welding. I save everything, and then after I get this thing completely full, I'll go and wash them and dry them. So here is the lawnmower blade. That's the side we just did. This is what it looked like previous. So here's what we did. Previous. Now, this really helps you. Hand sanding is a must if you're not forging your everything in. If you're not forging your grinds in, and even if you are forging your grinds in, if you're into taking all the forge scale off, all the divots out, every piece of, I like forging. I actually, to get texture, forge texture. I don't use a ball peen hammer or a cross peen hammer or a straight peen hammer to do it. I won't brush my scale off. And it creates these natural pits in the blade that just look awesome. So that's a little key there, is if you want a super forged looking blade, don't brush your scale after you take it out of the fire. But with these, if you're into making the shiny and the completely smooth surfaces, hand sanding is a must. I mean, unless you have the equipment to do surface grinds on it, but you still can't get a nice, smooth, transitional edge with a machine unless you're doing straight flat grinds. This is convex right here at the breaking point between the flat and the edge geometry, and then it just dives down into a convex, almost like a hollow grind would be, except for you don't have the big shoulders that you get from hollow grind. So, and we'll go over that, those that don't know what I'm talking about, in later videos of what different grinds to use and how to do it. But for right now, let's just stick to the simple stuff. So we're going to get here and flop this over and do the other side. Okay, so there we go. We got this one, this side all nice and smooth. It took all the big scratches, took out the heavy line in there where the edge geometry started, smoothed it all out. Now our next step is going to be to just continue working these two knives again, but we're going to flip them over. I'm going to hang them out of the edge so I can get a good pull, so I can really work that edge geometry in. And then we'll take, right before, I'll flat spot this edge, and then we'll take and put them in the quench. So that's what we're going to do with both these. We'll flip them around and rework them again one more time, and then we'll go into quench. Okay, so these are gonna get flat spotted on, and when I talk about flat spot, we're just gonna flat spot the edge here, and get them in the quench. Now when I come back, we're going to be in the smithy, and we'll talk a little bit about annealing and normalizing and the processes that go into that. The big difference between annealing and a normalizing, we'll go over that too. They're pretty much the same thing. Annealing and normalizing is like politics and religion with blacksmiths and bladesmiths. It's, if you don't have a good argument, don't bring them up, you know, for one or the other. So, but I'll talk about it, and we'll go into, a lot of times you'll hear, let me digress a little bit, a lot of times you hear somebody talking about heat cycling. That's what they're talking about during heat cycling. They're talking about annealing their steel through their heat cycles, 2 to 3. Most likely it's 3 heat cycles you go through, and they're taking everything out of it. But we'll talk about that when we get into the smithy here in a little bit. I'm gonna go let the batteries charge, and we'll see you here in a little bit. All right, so here we are. We're gonna get to quenching here in a little bit. I gotta heat the forge up, and then not gonna film the reheating of the forge. You guys saw all that stuff earlier. It might be actually easier to see it now, but it gets pretty hot in there. So what I'm gonna get is the quench, and just for all cool dealios, I'm going to do try and get a flame out on it so that we can slow it down and make it look all cool. But let's talk a little science here, and go into normalization and annealing. Now these are like politics and religion in the blacksmithing community and the bladesmithing community. It's you better have your ducks in a row when you're doing it. So I'm going to give you the internet definition, and then I'm going to tell you what I do. So annealing is when you change or alter the physical and sometimes chemical material to increase its ductility and reduce the hardness, making it more workable. That's annealing. You do this 3 times. You heat it up, you let it air cool. You heat it up, you let it air cool. You heat it up, you let it air cool. Then you quench. Alright? Now, listen to that. To reduce hardness, to make more workable. Alright? Normalization is a heat treatment that is to relieve stress, to improve ductility and toughness in steels that may harden after the cold working process. Steel is warmed to a temperature just above its upper critical point. So, if you know your steel you're working with, you know exactly what type of steel it is, then you can look at your charts and say, well, this is what temperature it has to be, yada, yada, yada. Awesome. I work in repurposed steels. I don't do a lot of annealing. I have for big projects, just for the fact that they're big, and all that steel is going to cool at separate times in certain areas of the piece you're working on. So you heat it up. I heat mine to forging temp. So nice orange, bright orange color. And then I sit there and swing it around in the air till it's completely cool. I mean, I swing it sometimes for 45 minutes. You know, and then I'll do it again 3 times. You know, just to be safe. Annealing is really the freaking to be safe side if you're unsure. I normally do normalization, and here's how I do it. I heat it up to just below forge welding temperature, so about 2,000 degrees, and then I'll take and throw it out in the grass or in the dirt and let it sit there. Work on something else. With these steels that we're working with right now, and they're small enough that, and I didn't heat them beyond the point of where they needed to be, we can get away without doing any of that. For the main fact that it just takes more time. You know, now when I'm forging now, since that they're, it's been a long time, especially with the potato that we forge. It's been a long time since it's actually been hardened. It's a lot of heat and cooling has been going on, so it's soft. With the forged blades, especially forged to shape and especially forged to finish, you do the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, you don't want to, and we'll do that in the other videos. Yeah, I mean, it's that's just what you do, because you've worked that structure down so tight that you need to relieve some of it before you quench. So once again, both of them improve workability and reduce hardness. So there you go. When someone asks you the difference of them, just tell them, hey, one takes a little bit longer than the other one. Because they do the same thing when you get down to the nitty-gritty. One is just has more built-in safety catches to help you out. So, but that's what the definition on the net says. So there you go. We're going to be lighting the forge here, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try and do an ooh-ah moment, catch the fireball that comes out. I don't normally do it because I don't really care to, but I'll do it because I'm doing a video and it looks cool. Then we'll try and slow that portion down, and we'll do it ooh and ah together. So, all right, I will be back here in a couple minutes after lighting the forge and getting all warmed up, and I'll start filming again right before quench. I know I said I wasn't going to film this lighting it, but okay, we just got back from the smithy and we're getting ready to go over to the grinders over here. And so we're gonna hit the grinders up. We're gonna touch up the edges on these, get them an edge put on them, but not sharp to where you're gonna kill yourself by doing your secondary sanding. That's what I do. Wouldn't suggest you do it at this point, but this is how I do it. I put a razor edge on it when I'm finally done, but there is an edge, so I can do a check geometry and everything throughout the whole process to make sure that it's going to do what I say it's going to do. So we're going to get over here on the grinders, and then we're going to get into our second hand sanding session. See you in a bit. Okay, we just got off the grinders and they turned out great. I am going to temper this one a little bit, the lawnmower one. It got a little hotter than I wanted it to be, and so we're gonna run a temper through it, and I'm probably going to try and do the same thing with this one too. Mainly, in fact, I'm going to say try, because I don't have any propane, and we're going to check out and see just how much propane I have. If I don't have enough to even light a flame, then we're not going to worry about it. These are, I usually don't temper the small stuff
You know, and maybe we'll just save that for another tutorial on tempering the big stuff. Always temper the big stuff. Never temper. I never temper small stuff. So we're just probably gonna leave these where it's at because I don't think I have enough fuel to run a temper, and it's hotter than hell, and I'm not gonna go heat up my house by sticking them in the oven. So even if it was, so we're just gonna let them be like that. They're good knives. They do what they want to do. They're made for cutting. They're not throwing knives. They're not hammers. They're not pry bars. They're made for processing meat, cutting rope, twine. You know, that's what they are. You know, it's just how it is. So don't use them as hammers. Don't use them as throwing knives. They're not throwing knives. They're not designed that way. So, all right, on to our next session of hand sanding. This session I'm going to be bringing it once again with the point out, and we'll be sanding out here with the big long sanding blocks so that I can get all the geometry and everything finalized on these, and then we're going to be into handle, pins, and gluing. So we will get that'll be probably tomorrow morning. We're going to get these all sanded and ready to go tonight and be done. So we'll see you on the flip side. So we're all done with our sanding. Still have a little bit more work to do over the period, but tomorrow will be handles. Probably gonna slap some oak on these bad boys. I just know probably about it. It's what I have. I have walnut, but it's not processed. But we'll slap some oak on these guys, and bronze pins, some copper. Might do an etch job on them and a sanding to make everything pop a little bit, but I'm not sure yet. We might throw these in the etch tonight or tomorrow and call them good. Everything looks good. They didn't cut me, but they're pretty pointy. Got a few little stab marks from the tip, but that's always good. You know, you do what you got to do. So we'll get these on to part 4. It'll be the last video in this stock removal series, and on to the forge to shape and forge to finish. So everybody, you have a great night, and thanks for viewing.